Oh, good afternoon, everybody, or good evening, or good morning, wherever you may be. If you could just type a Y in the chat area so I can know that you can hear me okay. Great, perfect.
I can
Well,
hear you.
thanks for joining me this afternoon. Today, we're going to spend some time looking at our AIQ Expert Design Studio with a AI touch to it. What I've been doing over the last sort of few months, actually, since AI has become not only faster, but more reliable, less prone to mistakes, and more capable of working with some complex languages like the Expert Design Studio. I've actually trained AI to use the code that we use in Expert Design Studio and have some very interesting outcomes, which I'll share with you today. I'm going to share with you, how you can take this away and use AI itself to enable your ability to test and design a trading system that you can then test within Expert Design Studio and backtest. Saves a lot of time. It's not 100% perfect. You have to be a little bit of aware of that. The great thing with our Expert Design Studio is that anytime you try and save something within there, it does run a compiler to see if there's any errors. And if there is, it points them out to you. So the good thing is we don't have to run a test on a bad piece of coding that AI may have written for us or helped write. We can put it into an Expert Design Studio file and have the compiler check it out and make sure it's actually authentic code. So first off, for most of you, I'm familiar with most of you. Obviously, Expert Design Studio is one of the core modules within Trading Expert Pro. It's just a little studio button here. And what you can see on the screen here is an Expert Design Studio strategy. When I say strategies, there's actually quite a few strategies in here. And there's quite a number of tabs across the screen here that are related to the different strategies that are in there. There's actually 7 or 8 altogether within this file. So let me backtrack and let you know what I did to get to a stage where I don't have to write all the code. I can utilize the compiler within here to check for errors, and I can have the AI do the heavy lifting and I do the tweaking. That saves a lot of time. I did ask it about backtesting to see if it could actually backtest some of the strategies that not only has it recommended, but it's also helped me build. And so far, that has not occurred. It's a little more difficult to try and tell an AI to backtest and all of the different parameters and variables in there in order for it to come out with some decent results. But I think it's likely to be something in the future. So, as a business, for AIQ Systems, we've been using AI for quite a while. We actually use ChatGPT. We use InVideo. We use Midjourney, which is another, so mostly for graphics and non-text-based AI stuff. And the one that we'll be using today is Claude, which is a very, very powerful AI. ChatGPT, by the way, I have trained ChatGPT on Expert Design Studio as well. So this is what we did, and check this out. This was done, a couple of months back, and I've been refining and exploring what this has been going on here. As you can see on the left there, I went into Claude, and by the way, this is a paid version I have here, so I have no limitations on the number of queries that I can ask it. You can try Claude yourself, Claude.ai. They have a free version. It works pretty well. And by the way, I've also been exploring Gemini, which is another sort of AI related tool, which we may get to in a later session. But primarily today, I want to talk about how we train the AI, what we asked it to do, what it produced for us, what I had to do, and what you'd have to do to go through and make sure that the strategy or strategies are viable, or actually that's not mumbo jumbo. And the thing here is you don't need to be a big coder within Expert Design Studio. Expert Design Studio has good building blocks in there, and the AI itself, although it makes mistakes, we can actually take the mistake that gets highlighted when it's compiled in Expert Design Studio and throw it back into the AI in order for it to be corrected. And that happens, a number of times during the process of getting a strategy written. So let's look at it this way. So Claude.ai, the first thing I did here, you can see it on the left here. I want you to learn how to code stock scans. It could be index scans, mutual funds, but I just said stock scans using the AIQ EDS language, so I can give you strategies to write. I've uploaded, and what I did here, and you can do the same thing, I uploaded PDF copies of the Expert Design Studio manual, and also the second thing is the examples. There's kind of like a compendium of Expert Design Studio files to show how different functions work. Let me just illustrate this to you real quick here, where you can get this. So if you go to the AIQ support site, and if we go to user manual on the menu here, support and education, go to user manual. And in the user manual area here, that's actually this one here, the first one is already there. If you hit EDS, each of these, by the way, is a PDF. And I just gave it all of these PDFs, actually combined them together into one, including the reference manual, the EDS reference manual. I gave the AI these manuals. It learned. And what it did, once I gave them, so you could click on these and save them to your drive and give them to the, if you're using a different AI, it's worth trying. Claude is the one I like the best. So I gave it that. And this is the response. Validated documentation sufficiently equips learning AIQ EDS language. So it told me the manuals were enough for it to go ahead and learn how to build scans in EDS. And it actually gave me some feedback here. There was a sort of rule syntax. It's kind of like repeating back what it's learned and its capabilities within there and its structuring. So it just gave that information back to me. So what I did next was, and this was done from a different AI, and I asked ChatGPT to give me 8, stock trading strategies that are suitable for short-term and swing-term traders who are trading stocks. And it did, and it gave me a list of these strategies without programming or anything. It just gave me the background to it, which is what I fed. I pasted it into Claude here, code all these strategies correctly. I asked it to do that in Expert Design Studio code. Now, this took maybe, I would say, 5 minutes, which is quite a long time for when you're dealing with an AI. As you may be aware, the AIs tend to give information back very, very quickly. But the thing here is I asked it to code these strategies. Not only did it code the strategies for me, it also went beyond what I asked it to do. It created a comprehensive EDS file with all 8 strategies. That's great. Okay, so that's what we wanted. It then decided, I never asked it to do this, create an implementation guide for all 8 strategies. And I have that, and we'll look at that in a minute. Then it said, let me create a quick reference card and move everything to the output folder. So it did that too. And again, it decided also, let me create one final summary document. So what it did, instead of just giving, I wanted the strategy so I could put them into Expert Design Studio and see if they're valid and if they work. It not only did that, it gave me all of this as well: the strategy guide, a quick reference, and an implementation checklist. I mean, that's it's stunning what it's doing when I never asked it to do that. I really didn't. The main thing I was after is what you can see some of on the right-hand side here is the actual code for EDS strategies. I mean, it's coding it. It's coding the strategies themselves. So let's have a quick look at what the strategies are, just so you give you an idea. The one AI, that I asked for 8 strategies, and I did sort of give it some framework to that. So I gave it some information like this is AIQ, and what type of strategies, short term, swing trading, trading stocks, and using indicators that are in AIQ. I mean, obviously, you could build other indicators, which I have had the AI help me with too. So what it actually did for me is build 8 different strategies. And this is actually, obviously this is now working because I've corrected some of the errors, and I'll show you how we, feed that back into the AI. Strategy 1, remember this was done, ChatGPT suggested these strategies. Market leaders, momentum and volume confirmation, best used for building watch lists of strong momentum stocks, swing trade entries, identifying market leaders. And this is simply the code here. You don't even need to know anything at the moment about the code because it's in the guide that it created for me. It actually tells me what these strategies are doing for us. Pullback strategy was number 2. Number 3 is a breakout after volatility contraction, a Bollinger Band squeeze and volatility. A classic right there, very, very widely used. This is the second one, pullback to support. That's coming up in a trend, pullback to support. You want to get re-entered into the trend at some point that's already in place. Strategy 4, only for AIQ, expert rating divergence scan. I mean, I've never called a strategy expert rating divergence scan. Sounds good to me. Let's check it out. And it is. It's looking for high expert ratings. And it's also looking for a divergence with momentum building. So it's a divergence from price action, which is quite common with expert ratings. They are a little bit early. And strategy 5, this is really a classic because it says, hey, let's do a sector rotation leaders. And just using this list of ETFs, it actually gave the list of ETFs to identify these sectors. So each of those, as you probably know, actually matches a given sector ETF. And this is a very simple rotation strategy, which just looks at short-term and long-term moving averages or the return over that period, and bases the ones that are doing the best on the short-term and longer-term return over those periods. Very simple strategy, but not a bad strategy for doing, putting some money into a very simple sector rotation. Pick the top 2, say, each time you run it again 30 days later. Pick the top 2, get out of the other ones. I mean, nothing fancy in this one. It's a sector rotation. You're always invested, or you could do more than 2 sectors. You're attempting to be in the leading sectors at any given time. Strategy 6, mean reversion. Oversold bounce candidates. I mean, this is kind of, again, trying to get back in a trend that's already in place. Remember, the AI came up with these. It wasn't me. Number 7, high probability gap play. Hey, that's a gap. Scan for gap opportunities up or down for entries into a position. And the final one it did, which was, not surprising, MACD divergence scan, pretty basic scan overall. But, it was also looking, used the histogram created to find these. That's one of the things you'll notice that it does a lot of when you're doing any AI scanning or creating scans is it creates the indicators, even if some of the indicators are already in there. Occasionally it does use the built-in indicators because we have, when I right-click on the rule library here, we go to our builder, we have, indicator fields already built in that you can program. Quite often, the AI likes to build the indicators from scratch. Doesn't do it all the time, and I understand that because the indicators that we have in here are keyed off of our charting area. So if you change the settings in charts, that percolates down into the EDS. So you'll get different results if you keep changing the constants on the indicators in charts. So I understand why it creates that. It's a good thing to do. So you get an idea of what can happen here. It spit out this 8 strategies like that. That was the first time. 2 months ago, I did that. I immediately, first thing with this many strategies in here, I could have, split it up and worked on one at a time until I realized that some of the definitions it created in here for strategy one are then used in strategy eight. So it's linked in together, but it's fine. You can run all of these at the same time. There's no harm there. The only strategy you couldn't run, need to run independent, is the sector rotation one because you only want it on a short list of tickers. So literally, when I would run all of the others and then run this one by changing the properties up here and having it run on the list of tickers, which I just happen to have built, and it's called sector RET, which is a list of tickers that just contains these sector ETFs. So that would be something you'd have to run separately. So, I mean, pretty amazing stuff. Obviously, over a period of time, I have created these. I have put these into the tabs up here, and also done some back testing in there. Again, back testing is an area that is highly variable, I would say. What are your exit strategies? What is your capital risk? For us in our back testing world, the ground rules for me are, if I'm going to do a back test, I'm going to back test every strategy with very similar foundational rules to start with. Something like trade it for 21 days and no other, exit strategies, just to see if there are a decent number of winners, even if I was just blindly doing that without any money management or exiting rules. And then, after you've done that, you go ahead and you look at maybe manipulating some of the money management strategies, trailing stops, principal protection, and then maybe throwing in an exit on an indicator or an exiting strategy. That's a further stage than we're going at the moment. But let me back it out a moment and show you what it created for us. Remember, I just asked it to create this. I did not ask it to create the strategy guide. So this, and they're just text files. So I just opened them up in a notebook. So here it's the trading. This document contains 8 fully trading strategies for Trading Expert Pro. And it basically details what each one does: purpose, find stocks, entry criteria in plain English, what it is that it's doing. This is great, right? What is it best used for? Fantastic. Okay. Recommended report columns to add within EDS. I follow the guidelines on that mostly. And the same goes for each of these strategies here. It shows what it's doing. And so the key thing with this, with having it do this, is that you can go and say, hey, okay, yeah, that doesn't make any sense, or that does make sense. And actually, all of these were, pretty much common sense. I mean, look at this one here. I like this breakout after a volatility contraction, a Bollinger Band squeeze, right? So here's the criteria, and it's looking at, it's the width of the Bollinger Bands, the upper and lower Bollinger Bands. And you can see there, it's got an entry on breakout bar on the next open. And you could suggest even a stop in here, 1 to 2 average true range below entry. I mean, it has this all built in here, and the target measured move based on prior range. So you can see that in the chart itself. So pretty clever stuff. Again, all of this you got to go through and look at. And obviously, as we're all fairly experienced as traders, we know that what to look for. And some of these things are like, well, that's a pretty interesting exit strategy. So for testing, we could actually start looking at, oh, okay, you suggested this strategy guide. Build me an exiting rule. Haven't done that bit yet. I'm still working through some of these strategies in here. So as you can see, the verbalized entry criteria in English, what it's best used for, what's your trading plan with it, and the recommended report columns. And it even says, no, this uses AIQ's proprietary expert rating system. So it identified all of this, built this for me without me asking it. And I built this actually live in front of a group of people, which was I was in the UK in November, and it's just stunning what you can do. Now, not to get completely blown away by this. Once I got the code into here that it's created, my first thing is I need to check it. The great thing in here, I'm going to just deliberately put an error in here, like let me just do, I'll just get rid of this here. And I'll go File, Save. And anytime you do this, it immediately identifies where the problem is. So it says line 160, keyword if or is must follow MACD HIST 1. And so it knows what what the problem is, and I can then go back in here and correct it. And that's the great thing about having that compiler that is sitting there. I can now go File and Save, corrected the problem, and there's no errors. So the problems that might come up are, and right now it's I've got it trained fairly well, and I can't train this I can't give you this trained AI and say go with it. There is no way for me to to have somebody else come up and do this. So you still have to feed it manually if you're going to do it yourself. And you'll probably come across where it'll create definitions, which are with is like such and such is the value of this, with actual rules, which are if such and such if this is greater than this. Occasionally it gets those wrong, and of course, occasionally it also uses incorrect functions in there. Not very often. Once we trained it, it's improved very, very quickly. So what I can try and do, obviously we've only got 45 minutes here. I'm going to just throw a session at it. Oh, before we do that, here's the strategy guide with that I was looking at there, with the sector rotation as well, what it looks for and what columns to put in there. I just want to show the other files that it created, which was, there's a quick reference. So what each of these strategies does. Remember, I didn't ask for any of this. This was created. What's your risk management? I mean, some of that was like, okay, well, what's the hold time? So these you could feed into doing some back tests, these areas down here. Key indicator settings, so that's all crucial for us. Obviously changing indicator settings. Most of these are the standard, and mostly the standard that you already have in an AIQ chart or in many other trading platforms. So you can see here, market condition, best strategies. I mean, it just identifies all that for you. So let me do the one more file that it actually brought up here. So we had the quick reference strategy, the implementation checklist. I mean, again, I did not ask for this. Here it is. Use this checklist to implement and test each strategy systematically. So it actually went through and it's like, make sure Trading Expert Pro is installed and updated. I mean, wow, okay. And so it just takes you through the process of bringing up an EDS file. In this case, the file that is called All Trading Strategies is what it's called. And these are all, straightforward, functions within the program. There's nothing fancy it's doing here. It's just opening stuff and then suggesting the columns to add. It then suggests the test run and it suggests the back test as well. And it then gives you also review results. It's almost like a little, anybody remembers back in the days of Jerry Smith had the sort of the trading guide, not guide, it was a trading, I don't know if you call it a spreadsheet or if you call it sort of a form you filled out with your trade so you could track and see and go back and see how you were doing. This is kind of pulled back into that, and it's actually including that. I didn't ask for any of this, right? I mean, it just did this for me. And it's got it down the bottom here. When you get down to the bottom, it's got this whole optimization process for each strategy, your weekly workflow, troubleshooting log, and then your performance tracking. I mean, right. I mean, that's just wow. So again, I did not ask for any of this. It created this off its own decision-making process. So let's I'm just going to show you the process, especially since we have Claude here. I'm going to start a new chat right here within Claude. And what I'm going to do is just I'm going to ask it to create an AIQ EDS strategy and see how quickly it'll do it for us. There are occasions over, over the holidays when it can be a little busy on some of the servers. It's heavy crunch time. So I'll say create an AIQ EDS strategy for buying stocks that are displaying exhaustion after a down move. Let's see what it says to that, right? Oh, actually, I'll put it in the search operator area. There we go. New chat. Throw it in here. And so off Claude goes and starts doing its thing. Because what we'll do is we'll grab the code that it'll create, and I'll throw it into a new EDS file and just show you quickly the process that is going on here. I haven't specified any indicators. I haven't specified anything. So it's deciding on what that is going to be. Watch it. Look at it here. It's doing a trend identification, oversold conditions. I never set any indicators. I just gave it all of the information. You can probably recognize some of the rules and the sort of syntax that we use in AIQ EDS to make this happen. And it's already programmed the whole thing there, creating it, thinking again. Yeah, it looks like it's actually creating us also another guide because it just wants to be busy for us. Again, we didn't do something too complicated because it could take a lot longer. And again, we've got the back testing guidelines in there, key metrics to track, strategy strengths and limitations, troubleshooting, too few signals, signals too early. It just kind of outlines the limitations, the pros and cons, and it even gives it as an example it just gave there. Once it's finished, it creates kind of like a compiled file, and then we'll be able to click and see the code in a second there. I don't want to go through all of the text files it's created. We just want the code just to see how, if it's remembered or how much it's remembered about the strategy itself. How to code the strategy, that is. So what we want to do, let's give that a buzz, or I might have to download it. Yeah, looks like we've downloaded it. So look at this, exhaustion reversal by.eds. It's created an EDS file for us, right? So if I click on, and open this will open up in EDS, we hope. Or maybe not. Ah, there we go. So it hasn't loaded the file. Always something. So right now I don't have the code in there for whatever reason. It's decided that, let me go and look at the file itself in downloads. It doesn't look like it's only 4 kilobytes. So yeah, it's definitely not got the. So what's happened here? There's no content right in the file. There is no content in the EDS file. I love when it goes thinking. It doesn't. It just it can see all 130 lines of code. It might be a download issue, and I think that's probably what it is. Ah, so it's created a text version. That's great. So in this case, then I can just copy that and then pop it inside the EDS file here, and we paste it in. So remember, we did this live. It's created. I mean, how long would it require for me to do this, right? And I'm an average coder in EDS. Some folks are really, really good at this. I throw this in here. I know just from putting this in here that this is going to have some errors in here. And this is part of the process that we go through. And so if I click on File and Save, line 34, expected rule as an argument to value rule. So what it's done here is it's made a mistake, right? It's made a mistake on this area, this code here. So I can actually take this and throw it back at it and said, let me just say that, let me just file save that again. Yes, we need a rule as an argument to value rule for this line. So I'll copy this back in. You can see it's thinking about it. You're absolutely right. Like just like Chat GPT. Of course, you're right. It is this, this, and this. So it's fixing it for me, right? And guess what? It goes and looks for other instances where it incorrectly used. So I didn't even have to go through and find those other instances myself. I had to go through and correct that. So part of the process here that I'm using and you can do is you go through here and have it fixed so that the syntax is correct in the strategy it's creating. That we do that before we go and have a look and see if the strategy actually makes any sense, right? Because I can't really test it out properly. I mean, I could read through the code and get a good idea on it, but right now it's on more errors found. Let me fix them all. Even though I've trained it on value, the difference between rules and definitions, and you need a rule to run certain syntax for different things, and others are run on just on simple indicators themselves, for example, rather than on a defined EDS section. And you can see how this works. I mean, it is a very, very powerful way of doing strategy building, but you need to devote a little bit of time to it. So now we have a whole new strategy. I mean, when I say whole new, because there's so many changes in there, I'm not going to bother just to take the changes. I'm going to take the whole file again. So this is the file here. Let's see, he's called it exhaustion reversal by. Let's make sure it's not messing around with this too much. I wonder if the EDS file's working this time. No, it's not really got that figured out. I'll copy this in, see how far it's got with the correction process within there. This is, we don't want to mess with my beautiful strategy there. We want this exhaustion one. So I could just, start a whole new one, but I'm just going to zap this whole thing out and paste in what it just did. Do a file save so that the compiler can have a look and see if it's gets beyond line 34, line 40. So it's got an unknown function this time. So we've got 40 lines in, right? I haven't written any code, and we've spent 5-6 minutes here actually on the strategy. That's it. So this one here it's an invalid function. RSL value is RSI, whatever this is. Okay, this is an invalid function. I just got to tell it that. You think it would have remembered that. This is an invalid function. And so feed that back into Claude. And I'm not going to spend the whole I'm going to keep going through these, but it's illustrating, thinking about diagnosing, you're right. Yes, of course I'm right. So this process for, this one strategy that we've created here, this one again. I can look at the what it is. Well, instead of actually correcting, which will take another 5 or 10 minutes max to correct a strategy that we've just asked it to create a reversal strategy without even talking about what indicators to use. We didn't ask about entry or exits or anything else like that. It just did all that on its own. It just created that out of its knowledge base. What I want to look at is that guide that it gave us so that we can understand what the thinking was behind this. So let me go back up to here. And this is, I should have downloaded this straight away because this won't change. This is just the guide itself. So let's download that. And we'll open that up. So you can see the thought process there. You saw my one line that said, hey, just give me a simple strategy. So what's it done? It's lots of experienced the down move and are showing signs of exhaustion and potential reversal. I asked for that, right? And I didn't give any sort of guidelines. So I could have given it some framework. I could have framed it for it, but instead it did, trend identification, downtrend, yeah, lower lows over 20 days, it decided. Oversold condition, multiple indicators like RSI below 30, that's a classic, right? Stochastic below 20, price below lower Bollinger Band, 2 standard deviation band, at least one oversold indicator, a condition must be present. So instead of trying to be super duper confirmation, it's just gone for one of the 3 oversold conditions needs to be present. That's stuff we all know, right? Exhaustion signals, volume, great, that all makes perfect sense. Reversal, so where is reversal? Price makes lower low, but RSI makes a higher low. So it's talking about a divergence with one of those indicators like the RSI. And then it's also either going through and looking at a hammer pattern, quite common, bullish engulfing pattern, that bar, the whole bar for the current day is completely engulfing the previous day's bar with an up close. So it's got all these reversal plus, trend in place, oversold, reversal. All that. Those are the sort of the main conditions. And all I asked for was just one line of a strategy. And it's got some safety filters there. Not down more than 30% in the past 20 days avoids collapsing stocks. Yeah, we'd probably be able to see that. We had one of those come up in one of the filters we ran the strategy. So average volume, we can control that independently by just doing it on the S&P 500, but it's picking 100,000 shares a day. It's okay liquidity, not huge. Price greater than $5 avoids penny stocks, another great thing to do. And there's the signal requirements for a buy signal. All of the following must be true. There'll be a downtrend, one oversold, one exhaustion, one reversal. So it's not all inclusive because no stock would meet all those criteria, I bet. And there it goes. So, and then it says, well, how do we use this? When are we going to use this? Well, we run it daily. Run daily after market close. Obviously, for us, end of day, can be applied to Russell 2000, SP 500, SP 1500. Of course, we could use counter trend strategy with inherent risk. Yes, it is. There's no new trend in place, so it just gives you some position sizing, entry tactics. Wait for a second confirmation. After that initial one, if they've been in a golfing day, then there's a second confirmation. Scale yourself in 1/3 on sit, 1/3 on follow through, 1/3 on strength. I mean, these are all great things. I mean, these are great ideas. Exit strategy suggested. Did I ask for an exit strategy? No. Initial stop 5 to 8% below entry. Yeah, that's probably 5 is good. Or below recent swing low. Well, that's a little more dangerous because that could be quite far away. Target 1, previous swing high or resistance level. We can see that clearly on a chart. Target 2, 20-day moving average. Well, not so sure about that one. It might well be, might get through that quite quickly if it's taking off. And of course, trading stop is always good. It suggests 3/-4 ATR trading stop. I think it's talking about maybe I'm not sure what he means by that. We'd have to check it out. I could go back and ask it to, create the strategy, this exit strategy, create it because we're a 20-day average is one of its targets and see how that works as far as back testing is concerned. And then it suggests optimization settings. I'm not even going to go down into all of those. I mean, this is there's so much that you get from just asking that basic piece of query, right? Troubleshooting too many signals. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So you can see how much AI can help us trade. It still hasn't, as I said, I mean, I can't just say, hey, this is a great strategy you've just created for me. Um, Go test this for the last 2 years, daily price action on the S&P 500, entering using, all your entry rules here, using these money management rules, using these exit strategies. It doesn't seem to get that quite right yet, but I think it will. I think it will. But you can see what we just did there was, I mean, it's phenomenal what can be done. And I will be happy to, if you want to drop me an email. You know what? I'll just send out this particular strategy that I've already been working on that's saved. I'll send that out, and I'll send a reminder with the video of this session, where you can get both the EDS manual and download it in PDF and feed it to your AI of choice. But I do, I'm not advertising or promoting Claude, but Claude seems to be pretty impressive, I would say. So one last thing in this session, I want to just show you this. I am going to take this and throw it into our good friend ChatGPT. I haven't trained ChatGPT. I told ChatGPT about the website, and so it has probably trawled through the website and gone to look for gone to look for strategies out there. So let's see what ChatGPT does. Sidebar. So it's given me some guidelines of what it thinks it's doing, and it's on its way creating some code here. This is nonsense because it doesn't. It's nothing we can. It's not our code. So it looks like it's using a sort of a form of Python here, Python script. Um, so it's not exactly AIQ EDS syntax, but look what it says here. If you want, I can write this exactly in AIQ EDS syntax. Well, didn't I ask it to do that, right? So why didn't it give it to me? I don't know. So if I said yes, write it in AIQ EDS code, let's see how much it knows about AIQ EDS. So you can see it's not as polished in any way as we have with Claude. And again, it's still not using the right syntax. I mean, this syntax is wrong. It is wrong. This will not work. And RSI 14 is great in RS. That's not 3 bars ago. This is like a generic Python-like coding. Even might even be like a thing called Swim or easy language. It's hard to tell. But so you can see how the differences between something like this. This is a freebie Chat GPT account that's not been trained versus this. I mean, look at the difference, the sheer difference between what Claude does in helping us to design and test the strategy. I think we're going to need to do another session on this because I want to get that back testing figured out too. If we can get that, we'll have an AI that can help us evaluate multiple strategies over multiple different time frames and different market conditions, and really, help enhance our trading overall. So that's it. I hope that wasn't too overly me just talking a lot of not. We didn't even bring up a chart. Hey, there's charts. Remember them? But I can tell you, this is really for us in the complex world of strategy testing and the tools that we have and the way we're able to manipulate, it's all math, as we know. But the fact that we can do this and have an AI that can give us more than we want is really, really helpful. I mean, I'm really just scratching the surface of this, and I think there's a lot of promise here. And again, it's not like, oh, well, if AI can do this, then everybody can do this trade. No, that's really how it works. As you can see, when I gave ChatGPT just some basic background, it doesn't do a great job. This has been trained. It's been trained with the EDS manual and the EDS indicator, the reference guide. It's read it and it still remembers it, which is amazing. I mean, it's out there on a server somewhere, and I say, "Hey, EDS, oh yeah, I read that a few months ago. Let me start making the strategy for you." So without going into this, the actual strategy here, which is again, we could spend a day on this. I might even get a longer session on designing some of these because it's phenomenal what we can do.
Was that
Any questions? Drop them into chat.
was that a
And yeah,
paid for AI account or free account?
yeah. So yeah, the question is this a paid for one for Claude? It is. So Claude is like $20 a month, I think, and same sort of price for Chat GPT. And the one thing is, you might hear you hear out there there's these conglomerated AIs like Galaxy or something like that, where you can pay 20 a month and get all of these different services. But sadly, you get limitations on all of them. There's only a certain number of queries you can do. With Claude AI, the monthly fee I'm paying, it's endless. I can just keep going. Chat GPT in the free account, you're going to run out of queries fairly quickly. Probably within about 10 or 15 queries using the EDS, you run out of it has some sort of counter on the text. But if you had a paid account with Chat GPT, yeah, that would also be you'd go a lot further. Yes, Claude AI, CLAUDE, Claude.ai. It's Claude. I mean, I love Claude. not, not in just in the fact that it's here. It's a Claude.ai. I mean, it is just phenomenal. I mean, we use these tools for. I mean, we're even exploring some programming stuff right now. And again, this you need to know what you're doing a little bit. For us, you don't need to know a huge amount of coding because, as I said, I fed back a syntax error back into Claude and it fixed it. What I do need to know is, and I love the fact that it gives me this strategy, it tells me what it is that the code is doing. And I can look at it and go, yeah, okay, that's interesting, but yeah, it doesn't make any sense. In this case, it's just written one, looks pretty good. Again, it tells you everything that it's doing and what it looks for. Fabulous, really. So, yeah, I will bundle some of this information together with the recording when we email that out probably tomorrow. And yeah, I look forward to doing another session on this, something a little different. Maybe we'll get some of it back tested and into charts and you can look at it. Yeah, good question. Good question. You don't need to load the manual every time you access Claude. No, I uploaded the manual and the strategy guide back in October or November last year, and it just remembers it. It just remembers it, which is really phenomenal. As you saw with ChatGPT, it's a little more nebulous. I haven't told it about the guide. I only told it to go look at the website. It probably found the guide, but ChatGPT needs a little more focused and framework in what you're asking it to do. Whereas Claude just goes off. It's a very, very powerful tool. Yeah, what I was saying about email. I'll email when we email the recording of the video. I'll email out to you also I'll include in the email at least a link to the strategy file and these guides that it created for that big 8 strategy, just so you can see what it looks like and what it is that you can get. And also, I'll have in there links to get the PDF of the user manual for EDS and the guide that you can then upload to Claude. Because if I'm in Claude, it has this little plus button here. If I got add files, connectors, and more, I just add there and add all the PDFs up there, and it reads them in no time. And it says, "Hey, I'm ready to start writing for you." Great. Well, thanks for your time this afternoon, this evening. As I say, this is, I mean, it is a game changer for time, I think is what it is. I mean, yeah, writing code can be really hard, even with a builder that we have. having something, it's like having a helper do the heavy lifting for you. You still need to know what it is that you're looking at, and you still need to be able to just say, that's an error. I don't know what he was trying to do there, but I'll feed it back because the compiler in EDS tells us that it's wrong. And then Claude goes, oh, yeah, you're right there. So it's not flawless, not flawless. But I really love the strategy guide because it tells us what it's trying to do. All right,
And
folks, that's it. I'll,
can I ask a question not
yeah, one
related
more.
to the
Yeah, sure.
present, not related to the presentation? This is Jim Lillo, you know me.
Yeah,
I'm a
Jim.
subscriber. Right now, as of last night, the 1049 phase is moving higher, but we don't have any up signals yet. What would be
You were
your,
talking about on the market, right? On the
yeah,
Dow. Yeah, but so the Dow, that the previous, probably because the previous signal, when I click on the ER button here, you see how far back it is. That buy was back here. That
yes.
was the last buy, and that is still kind of in place. There's been, because the momentum's been so strong, it's been in this trend up. There's just not been anything to fire at the moment. I mean, when
I
you
thought it
query the
was
rules, there's just
I thought it
nothing
was
there.
anything more than 10 bars we didn't count it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as far as once you pass 10 bars, you don't, if you don't get any other expert ratings, you just have to go with where you were before. I mean, right now, that fired on November the 25th. Currently there's just nothing going on here. Look at the fairly neutral. There's nothing out here. I mean, every time you click these, there's no rules of five.
Right.
Just not a lot happening. And most again is also to do with the in the breadth of the market itself. Things like 80 line, 80 oscillator, new high, new lows. There's no real divergences happening. I think part of it is because the Dow's come into play. It's kind of it's joined the rest of the party finally,
The
broken out to new highs. So I mean, it's again, it's just there's no internals that are firing anything at the moment.
what's your personal take on that?
For me, I mean, I personally think that we're still being driven by the group of high tech companies. And of course, the Dow
Yeah.
sudden jump with because of the oil situation and stuff. I mean, there's everything looks to be hugely overbought these days, but things keep moving higher. So, and you always know that even overbought indicators, things can stay in overbought territory for quite a while.
Yeah. The other thing I do, Steve, is I as a maybe backup, if you will, I do the a check on the signals on the four main ETFs like DIA, SPY, QQQ, and IWM, but there's nothing on them either.
No, no, everything looks for divergences. There's just not, when I say divergences, or it looks for overbought, oversold divergences, um, conditions where you get unknown, volume accumulation percentage and indicators like that are not in sync with price action. It's just right now there's not a lot happening out there. It's all moving up to the upside.
Right.
Everything's just there's nothing that's indicating any major change until we get a signal. I mean, the signals on the market have been pretty good recently. I mean, on the Dow itself, there was that 99 buy there, and then there was a 96 prior to that. There was a down signal there, and buy signal there. It's hard to see this chart's so small.
Oh, I
But
agree. The signals have been perfect recently.
yeah, they certainly have. And we go through periods when it's not perfect, but that 99 that 199 down there, they've all been really quite good. So right now it's like everything's on autopilot, isn't it? There's not a lot happening. So can't give you
Hmm.
any more than that, Jim.
I understand. I was just asking your
No,
personal
no,
view as well.
anytime.
Thank you, sir.
All right, guys, gotta get going. More
Awesome
stuff to do.
program, awesome presentation.
Great. Thanks, Jim. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate everybody's time for being here, and we'll be back again real soon.
I'm a 35-year subscriber.
I know, Jim, you've been around a while. Good to hear from you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.